You know that feeling when you scroll through a mountain of gaming laptops, each one promising buttery smooth frames and an instant gratification experience, only to end up with a machine that feels more like a glorified office PC? I've been there, bought a high-end spec sheet, only to discover the cooling is noisy, the battery barely makes it through a single session, and the keyboard lighting is all flash and no feel. That hesitation is why I'm breaking down the HP OMEN 17.3-inch model before you click Add to Cart. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the biggest draw on paper is the AMD Ryzen AI 9365 processor paired with an RTX 5060 GPU. In real life, that translates to a laptop that can actually keep up with modern titles like Cyberpunk 2077 or Elden Ring at 1080p without you having to turn every setting down to minimum. I ran a few sessions on a friend's workstation, one night of A Plague Tale and another of Fortnite, and the frame rate stayed comfortably in the 60-70 range, even when I pushed the graphics to high. The 8GB of GDDR7 on the GPU feels generous for a 17-inch laptop. You won't be swapping out video memory like you would on a lower-tier card. What makes this model stand out in the crowded OMEN line is the AI-enhanced Ryzen chip. HP markets it as AI-driven performance tuning, and what I noticed is a smoother ramp-up when you switch from a menu screen to an intense combat sequence. The laptop seems to allocate cores on the fly, so you get that extra burst of power right when you need it. It's not a magic bullet, but in practice it means fewer stutters in games that are notorious for microspikes. Now, let's talk about the display. A 17.3-inch IPS panel at 19201080 with a 144 Hz refresh rate sounds great, but the real test is how it behaves under different lighting conditions. In a dim room, the colors pop and the 7 milliseconds response time makes motion look crisp. You'll actually notice the difference when you're dodging projectiles in a fast-paced shooter. In a bright living room with sunlight streaming through the windows, the panel's brightness peaks at around 300 nits, which is decent but not stellar. If you plan on gaming on a coffee table near a window, you might need a hood or a darker environment to avoid washed-out visuals. The keyboard is another area where the specs meet reality. HP gave it a one-zone RGB backlight, which looks slick in a dark room, but the key travel is relatively shallow, about 1.3 millimeters. That's fine for quick taps, but if you're a tactile-type gamer who likes a deeper press, you might find it a bit less satisfying after a marathon session. The layout, however, is standard with a full numeric pad, which is a plus if you also use the machine for spreadsheets or content creation. The backlight can be turned off entirely, which is handy if you're streaming at night and don't want the glow spilling onto your face. One of the hidden trade-offs comes with the weight and battery life. At roughly 6.5 pounds, the OMEN 17.3 is solidly in the desktop replacement camp. It's not something you'll comfortably carry to a coffee shop every day. The 1TB PCIe SSD, though, is lightning fast for load times. Games that used to take minutes to spin up now launch in under 10 seconds. The downside is the battery, a 90Wh cell that barely stretches past 2 hours of gaming on a single charge. If you expect to game unplugged, you'll need to keep the power brick handy, which adds clutter to any small desk setup. Storage is where the value truly shines. A full terabyte of SSD space means you can install several modern AAA titles, store a library of indie games, and still have room for video editing projects without worrying about hitting a wall. The SSD is also upgrade-friendly. You can add a second drive via the M.2 slot without opening a warranty-voiding panel, something that many premium laptops hide behind proprietary screws. Connectivity is fairly generous for a laptop of this size. There's a USB-C port with 10 gigabits per second signaling, supporting both power delivery and DisplayPort. You can hook it up to a 4K monitor while still charging. 2 USB-A 3.2 ports give you room for a mouse, headset, or external drive, and the HDMI 2.1 output lets you push the 144 Hz signal to a larger screen if you want a dual-monitor gaming rig. The Wi-Fi 6E module ensures low latency on newer routers, which is a subtle but real advantage in competitive online matches. Who should actually consider buying this machine? If you're a serious PC gamer who wants a portable powerhouse without diving into the build-your-own territory, this OMEN hits a sweet spot. It's also a solid choice for creators who need a fast CPU and a large, color-accurate screen for video editing, especially because the RTX 5060 can accelerate render tasks in Adobe Premiere. Students in graphic design or animation programs will appreciate the combination of CPU cores and GPU memory for 3D modeling work. On the flip side, if you